Good evening and welcome to the Board of Select meeting for December 4th, 2018. At 18:30 we were in executive session. We just exited executive session. We're going to go into regular session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have a very small agenda. We have some regular session minutes to approve. Originally the Council on Aging was on our agenda, but they postponed due to an illness. We have the Town Manager's Report. We have 3 discussion items, one from the amended Upton Regional School District, a road race application, and to execute a technology contract. So if you guys are ready, I'll take a motion for the minutes.
I didn't
None?
send those over.
We can skip that.
Passed over that.
Okay, Mr. Byer from the amended Upton Regional School District, please come forth. Yeah. So, Mr. Byer is here to represent the amended Upton Regional School District and asking for $25,955 from the Racine C Trust Fund for educational purposes. This is for 60, these all iPads, 60 iPads.
Yep.
For the 4th graders for both Clough
Memorial. Yep.
Would you like to elaborate on the program?
Well, so we did this a couple years ago. I think the Racine Fund actually funded some laptops. We have found that those are not as effective as the iPads, and that since we have them everywhere else in the district. So this is for 60 iPads, 30 at each building. 60 cases. It comes with a little keyboard because they need them for the MCAS test, and you need a keyboard to take that test, and then a couple of carts to charge them on so we can move them from room to room when we're using them the rest of the year when it's not testing time. The impetus behind this is the MCAS test. We have to take it electronically now. We have too many kids to actually get them all to take it at the same time and have enough electronic devices. You know, we only have one computer lab with 30 devices, and then each building has 30 HP laptops, and we've got generally 3 and 4 grades, 3 and 4 sections of each grade that have to take the test at a specific time. So that's the purpose behind it. So like I said, I think 2 years ago this was approved, similar cost. We were going to do the same kind of HP this time, HP laptops, and then we discovered that the iPads are actually just as cheap.
Do the kids get to bring these iPads home, or do they stay at the
These
school?
stay at the school. The elementary kids, it's not a one-to-one like grades 5 through 12. So this is specifically for the elementary schools. And then they're going to use them in the classrooms for the rest of the time for various instructional purposes. I couldn't give you the exact details on that part because I don't do the instructional part.
And then in Mendon's not putting any money towards this?
They don't have they don't have a fund like this. This fund's been around for years and years and years and has always funded the school district for various projects. So yeah, they don't have anything that matches this.
Do you guys have any questions or comments? I know Brett would like to read something.
I think quickly, I was just going to ask you, as far as this request, what do you think is the time period these devices will last? 5 years, 10 years?
I would have to say 5. The deal with iPads is eventually, if you deal with Apple at all, they like to come out with a new product as soon as you buy the old one and make the old one obsolete. We typically have gotten 4 or 5 years out of iPads before you find that the apps that you want to get won't run on the older versions and you can't get the operating system updated. In this case, they're not going to get, the ones that the kids have that they take home, they get damaged, the screens get broke, they get a lot more use than I think these are going to get. But these are going to be used every day, but I would hope 5 years, yeah.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that technology doesn't last longer than that, but it doesn't.
Yeah, when I said 10 years, I was way out of line.
Yeah.
It was more like 3 to 5.
10 years may be our generation, it's
Right.
like the washing machine that used to last 30 years that now lasts 10, right?
Right,
Like that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they're designed to break.
Yeah, and it's a throwaway society, you go buy a new one. Now, the prices come way down. I mean, when we first started the one-to-one program, the iPads were about $620 a piece. They're now $294 a piece. So at least we get a decent price on them.
Are these replacing existing iPads, or these are just net new iPads?
Yes.
How did you determine the number of 60 versus 30 versus none?
Because that would allow us, the 30 extra is about the approximate size of the class. It allows us to let another class test. But quite honestly, if we thought that you had enough money or there was enough money out there to get more, we would get more. I think there's an interest in getting more iPads at the elementary level. We just have never been able to fund it. I think every classroom would like to have 10 or so in their classroom to use on a daily basis.
And this money in this Rustine Fund can be used for any purpose relating to the schools, correct?
Yeah, you'd have to ask somebody that's more familiar with the program. I mean,
Well, let me-
it's an upset grant, but that's the way I read it, yes.
Okay, so let me read this to you, because it can be used for any purpose. But
I got that as well.
This is I, Ella Rustine, of the town and county of Hartford and state of Connecticut, make this my last will and testament. Section 13 of this says, "The rest and residue of my estate I give, devise, and bequeath to the town of Upton, Massachusetts in trust. However, for the use and purposes following, income only to be used," and this says, "1/3 of said remainder for educational purposes in the public schools of said town, subject to the discretion of the Board of Selectmen." So this can be used for any educational purpose, which is great. It's nice to have this fund. And this isn't taxpayer money, right? This is a family trust that Mr. Steen set up for the benefit of the town. So it's not taxpayer money. I want to make that clear for folks. It's not even the town's money per se. This money is family money that was bequeathed to the school system for educational purposes. So I want to make that clear for folks. And one question I had is, how did you determine that the iPads were the next best thing to spend $25,000 on, given all of the possible things that you could spend money on?
It's the need for the MCAS test coming up. We have to take the test electronically this spring, and we don't have enough devices to test the kids within the time frame that you have allowed to test them. You're given a certain period of time, this is when the test is, and we've got too many kids and not enough devices to get them to be able to
Is this
take
the
them.
first year that was a requirement?
Yes. Yes.
How are other schools handling this challenge?
I have no idea. I think that there was an opportunity to elect a paper option in the past, but I don't know that there is anymore. Again, that's outside of I don't deal with the instructional side, but it is unfortunate, I think, that that's the direction they're going with all these tests, is electronics, and there's not a lot of money coming out from the state to support it. It's another one of those things that they tell you gotta do, but figure out how to pay for it.
Ma'am, did you have a comment?
Yes, hi. Michelle Easterly, 148 South Street. I can answer some of those questions with regard to what's happening with MCAS. First of all, there are extensions available to DOE, and towns are setting up multiple days so that some people take the test on certain days and some people need to take the test on alternate days. If you don't have enough devices, you can apply for a waiver from DOE and make other arrangements that might be non-technical. My concern is that as we look at, we're not even sure how many devices they actually need. They're asking for 30 or 60, but they're saying we'll take as many as we can get. And I guess the biggest question I would have going forward is, what is the technology curriculum for our students? We're doing iPads, what we were going to do laptops 2 years ago, 4 years ago. What is the plan? Our kids need to be technologically proficient when they graduate. What is our curriculum and how are we approaching them? It's a little concerning to me that it's November and now the school system is looking for 25 grand. What happens if you say no? What's the plan? So I kind of feel like this is a little bit of patchwork. I'm not familiar with what is happening with those school finances, and maybe this is a little ways, but I don't think so. MCAS and how it was going to be administered was decided long ago. It wasn't this month.
Thank you. Any follow?
Nope, I don't have any other questions.
Steve, you have any questions?
I do that.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Let me just look at the amount.
I got it right here.
Yeah, so just before we make the motion, so I support this. I have some, I personally don't necessarily think that, other than for MCAS, that third graders and fourth graders need iPads. I'd rather have less screen time in school. But I also think and respect Mrs. Rustine's desire to give this money to the school and allow the school to, at their discretion, prioritize how this family's money is spent, and I don't feel as a selectman that we should get in the way of that process. I do want to make sure that this is the right way to spend this next $25,000, so is it your responsibility to determine how the money from this fund gets spent? Who have you worked with, who else is involved in making this recommendation besides yourself?
So, well, Superintendent Maruschek is the mover and shaker behind all of this, but we also have Dave Quinn, who is the Director of Instructional Technology. Joe Lakeview is the hardware side of it, and then the teachers, the principals of the buildings are the ones that make the decision. As far as the timing, you know, I waited until November to send the letter to you. We talked about this back in the summer, and I actually had emailed Ken last year to find out what kind of funds were available. We didn't make a request last year, and we purposely didn't so that there would be enough to cover this year. This was something we knew was coming. We just held off and sending the letter until the last month or so.
Was there any conversation with the school committee?
They got the letter at their last school committee meeting that I sent to you, and they were informed of this. As far as the decision, I've always looked at the Racine Fund as something that should be used for what I consider more of a capital need than an operational need, because it's a one-time purchase as opposed to an annual recurring cost. Granted, technology is a recurring cost, but the devices themselves.
Right, it's a capital investment.
It's more of a capital type purchase, and that's what I felt this was better used for. I think years ago, this was used for libraries specifically, and it was like books and things for the library, and I always kind of felt that was a waste, that that's something we should be covering in our operational budget.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I certainly respect the experts' perspective on how to utilize the funds that are available to them. So,
Right.
you know, I sort of defer to the recommendations that you guys make. So, with that, we'll go to
I was just going to say one thing off of what Brett started to say is, and yeah, actually, Jay, you made seeing this as a capital expenditure. Do you plan on all future stuff being budgeted for this, or do you think you'll be back for expansion of this program, or will this be rolled into your budget, like
Well,
replacement?
Like I said, there is a desire at the elementary school to have iPads in every classroom, not to take home, not for kids to use all day, but for certain activities and certain projects and certain curriculum type related things. So we are looking to try to expand the number of devices available at the elementary level, but it really hinges on funding. You know, our impetus with the iPad program has been grades 5 through 12, where every child has one, and providing those. And, you know, when we first started out, a lot of parents were providing them themselves, but we're finding as time goes on, more and more parents are saying, no, let the school provide it. So that's a little bit more challenging. We're having some challenges with screens that are getting broken, and, you know, trying to get parents that either buy insurance to cover it, or it's kind of like a textbook. If your child damages a textbook, you have to pay for the textbook. It's not as easy to collect money when you're talking $250 to repair an iPad. So, yes, I think we'd like to fund it in the operational, but whether we will, it's going to depend on how the budget cycle goes.
Yeah, just like my only hiccup is I just wish Menda was chipping in some of it. So
Yeah, I would love to go and ask them to, but I can already tell you, they just don't have a a state like this that was created.
And, you know, if I can jump in as well, yeah, that's something, as I said earlier, we were talking about the time the device lasts. Even I think back to when my kids were in middle school, we bought the devices. You know, you could either rent them or buy them. We bought them. And I think the district has changed now where you're providing for the middle school kids.
You have an option of buying them. We no longer, when you started, I don't remember when that was, but when it first started, we did what was called the lease to own. You know, we bought them, you pay, the parents would pay over 3 years, 6 payments to pay for the cost of them. Quite honestly, we still have about $25,000 that we never collected because parents just didn't pay the bills. That was a small percentage of it, most of them did. But as time goes on, more and more parents are opting to have the school provided, and since it's considered a textbook type of curriculum idea, you can't charge parents, you can't make them pay for it any more than you can charge for textbooks. When I went to school where I grew up, we bought our textbooks in school, but it doesn't work that way in Massachusetts.
someday maybe all the textbooks will be digital.
Well, I think that's the goal, is to get toward electronic devices. A lot of school districts like Burlington, the teachers actually write the curriculum. They don't even buy curriculums from these big education companies anymore. They just write them themselves and have them all electronically. But that's pretty time consuming, and you need the right people to do that, so.
But, you know, going full circle, I guess, with this conversation, I agree with the fact that the problem with at too young of an age, introducing kids to tablets or iPads, so to say, you know, penmanship suffers, it's an awful young age for kids to be spending that much time on an electronic device. That's the other, downside I see. I mean, it's nice that the district, in this case, the district is going to own these devices.
If you go to a grocery store, what do you see? The parents are handing the kids their cell phone, so it's,
I don't know how much time they actually are using them. The ones that have them in the classroom, I can't tell you, if it's even 10% of the day or less, I don't think it's that much, but I don't know for sure. Again, I'm not in the classrooms. The elementary level, though, it's still pretty much elementary school. I mean, quite honestly, the one thing I think that they're missing is cursive writing. Right. Because they can't read what their grandparents are writing.
That's true.
Even my kids can't.
I even think elementary school is pretty advanced now, so. I mean, they say kindergarten is the new first grade, so.
Yeah, they say 60 is the new 40, too.
Ma'am?
Thank you. Again, I'm actually going to contradict something that you said, Brett, and come out completely opposite what I was saying earlier, although I still maintain the position. And that is, you don't want your third grade student taking an MCAS electronically if they don't have experience taking tests electronically. Because you're no longer testing their proficiency in math and ELA, you're not testing their proficiency to take tests on the computer. So if we look to make this investment now, I think we have to look more broadband and look at making sure that every kid has the experience with an iPad, so that we're testing them for their content knowledge and not for their capability in technology. So I'm kind of saying, like, if this is the way we're headed, we need to go all in, and that has to come from the school and the school committee.
Well, I know the school sends my kids homework right now, like IXL and stuff, and I bet you my kids would do better on computer than paper, so.
Well,
Thank you for your.
keyboarding?
Huh?
Are they keyboarding?
They can do both.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is a good point. So the kids in third grade use the iPads to take the MCAS,
Yes.
and they do that today, currently.
They have not in the past. This will be the first year that they're going to take it electronically.
So
Grades 5 through 12.
What about the fourth grade?
Same thing. This is the first year they're taking it electronically.
So third and fourth graders have never taken the MCAS tests on an iPad.
No.
So how do they account for that in terms of
They've
test
taken a lot of
preparation?
other things on devices, iPads, laptops. There's a computer lab. They do a lot of assessment type stuff. Currently, just not the MCAS. MCAS is only one assessment tool that we use, and it's actually probably my least favorite. The state likes it a lot, but there's a lot of other assessments that we use: SRI, SMI, IXL. There's a variety of different things that they use every day.
Yeah. So what would you say, and from your perspective, are third and fourth graders' proficiency at taking tests like the MCAS on these iPads to Ms. Antonelli's?
You know what? I can't give you any firsthand knowledge, but I would like to think that the people that chose to do it electronically were prepared for the fact that kids would be able to do it. And that the decision was made correctly.
Yeah. And are the teachers able to support the kids as they're taking the MCAS if they have questions or if they do something wrong? Or
Yeah. Quite honestly, the biggest problem we have with the MCAS electronically is the state's servers tend to crash because they can't handle having so many people on at the same time, so that's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
As far as our end, we've got the broadband to handle it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I certainly know my third graders are comfortable using an iPad.
Yeah. I know my kindergarten's comfortable using it.
So it's my 2-year-old.
She's better than me.
Okay.
Like you say, it's a cursive writing, that's the challenge.
That's
Where do you can get it?
It seems to be a dying skill, which is unfortunate, but then again, how many of us are writing in cursive anymore, so.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great.
Okay, we got one.
Any other questions?
No, so
That's
do
great.
you?
No? So I make a motion that we approve the request for funds from the Ristine C Fund for the fiscal year of 2019 in the amount of $25,955 to purchase 60 sixth-generation iPads, 60 Logitech Rugged Combo 2 keyboards, and 2 trip-light charging stations.
Second the motion?
It's unanimous action.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for answering all our questions.
Yep, anytime. I wish I could have answered them all better.
Thank you for coming tonight.
And I would love to stay, but.
We'll have more questions if you want to say.
Yeah, exactly. We can keep going.
Watching the concert, you get to see on the screen.
We'll bring you back at budget time. Moving right along. I lost my picture. So let's see, our next agenda item is a to approve a motion for the annual Spooky Run for October 27, 2019.
Any questions?
From the Mendon Upton Regional School.
Nope.
All right.
Seems last year.
Make a motion to approve the road race, the annual Bennett Upton Educational Foundation Spooky Run, scheduled for October 27, 2019.
Second?
That's unanimous action. And the last agenda item is to approve a technology bid, and I'm gonna open this up to the town manager.
Sure. So as presented at the special town meeting, the technology committee submitted an RFP to increase and enhance our IT security and infrastructure. And the company that received that award was Retrofit Technologies. Town meeting approved of the funding authorization to enter into a contract with them. So what's before you this evening, and as you know, under the special act, or the town manager special act, any contract that exceeds $25,000 needs the authority of the Board of Selectmen to for signature. So the retrofit contract will be effective January 1st, 2019. It shall expire on June 30th, 2020, so it's about an 18-month contract at a cost of $4,850 per month. We have included 2 one-year extensions. Those are optional extensions, so if things work well with them, we have the ability to extend them for 2 additional years as well. We have already engaged Retrofit, and they've already began the transition from the current vendor of Worldband over to Retrofit effective January 1st.
Any questions, sir?
No?
Again,
Great.
I think it was explained at town meeting, but I'll say this was just a modification to our budget. We had budgeted, I believe it's $18,000, and this is an additional $40,000.
Right.
Okay. Brett, you got the motion, or you want me to?
Go for it.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town manager to execute the Retrofit Technologies agreement.
Second?
It's unanimous action. And then, I know I jumped around, but, Mr. Town Manager, do you have anything you'd like to report on?
Yeah, there's a few things I'd like to bring up to the board's attention. So first and foremost, Officer Kyle Bishop has been with the town for a few years now. He serves as a reservist with the Coast Guard. He has been activated for deployment. That will be effective January 28th, 2019, and that's going to be a 12-month deployment. So one, I first and foremost want to thank Officer Bishop for his service to not only the town of Upton, but to his country, and we will wish him well during this time away. Certainly working closely with the chief on figuring out the best mode to fill that position. We haven't made any final decisions as of yet, but we're thinking about a couple of different avenues we should pursue. One of those avenues right now is we have an advertisement out to hire a police officer to potentially fill for his vacancy, Officer Bishop, but we know that we have at least 2 retirements coming up in 2019. So we're trying to do the best that we can to try to predict and project losses at the police department over the next calendar year. Moving forward, some good news is that Brian Kemp, our Emergency Management Director, has been working very closely with Chief DeFranzo on seeking FEMA reimbursement from a couple storms back in March. As you all know, we were hit with 3 nor'easters, one after another, and that wreaked havoc not only with loss of power, but it expended our resources to a large degree. So as of today, Brian Kemp has told me that the town has submitted for $63,437, and he feels confident that the town will receive that reimbursement. FEMA only reimburses 75% of that $63,000, but after that, they will then give us an additional 5% for administrative overhead. So we're expecting to receive approximately $50,000 from the federal government. So a lot of thanks goes to Brian Kemp for his work. He really dogged this for 6 months to make sure the town could receive every dollar back. So again, appreciate the hard work that he has done on behalf of the town. At our last meeting, Dennis Westgate, our DPW director, was here. He brought before the board a number of private streets that typically are plowed by the town. There was one street that was still in question. It was the Old State Road. He has since, under the direction of the board, has worked with the property owners on that road so that they can patch that road so it's in condition so that it can be plowed. He has told me that they have been working very cooperative with him, and so he believes that we're going to be able to plow that road. I think for the first time in many years, that road will be plowed. And so thanks to Dennis for going ahead and accomplishing that. The ramp, maybe you have seen if you've gone by there, but Kiwanis Beach, we have a contractor, Kozlowski Construction, is now at the beach. They're actively regrading that slope, and we expect them to install the walkway and the handrails, hopefully completing before any bad weather hits over the next 2 weeks. But he is on site, he's doing the work. The handrails are on site as well, so hopefully this will be complete in the next couple of weeks. Certainly it'll be ready for the next season where soccer will begin next spring. And then I'd like to report to the board that Chief Bradley, who has been working for the town for many decades and has served the town as its chief, most recently has signed a 5-year contract. So the chief is under a contract employment with the town. His contract was expiring in 6 months, and we entered into negotiations the past couple months, and as of last week, he has signed a 5-year contract. So I'm happy to report that the chief is going to be with the town for an additional 5 years, especially in a time where we know that 50% of the police department will be turning over because of retirements. Knowing that the chief will be there, be that constant, I think we can all feel good to know that he will continue to be with us and help guide the town through its transition period of a more veteran force to a more junior force over the next 5 years.
Any questions for the town manager?
Does the chief's new salary get posted in the town report or the financial report, or how does that work?
The chief's salary is posted in 2 places. It's posted now in the annual report, along with all the other employees, and at the annual town meeting when we present the budget. Past practice has always been that we post all the annual salaries in that.
And what was his salary? What did his salary go from and to for the new contract?
His salary in the new, as well, it's difficult. I'd have to pull up the contract because there is a factor of 1.75%, and that's based upon the highest paid patrolman. The chief gets 1.75% above that. So as the patrolman's salary increases, we do the multiplier on top of that. So I'd have to give you the exact, I have to look at his contract to see the exact number. Give me 1 second.
Couple of good pieces of information there, though.
I didn't know that.
It's a good meeting as far as it's been troublesome to solve the Kiwanis Beach handrail and ramp situation. So the fact that there's a contractor on site and that work's going to get completed, I mean, we're backlogged due to the materials not being available. So that'll be nice to have a solution for that.
Yeah, I walked up there and they had the skid steer and all the railings, and I could see why it took a while to get those railings up there. They're zigging and zagging. It's unbelievable. I can't imagine how they engineered those things, but and they're in huge sections. But
So the chief's salary, his base salary is $121,378. And then the contract goes on to explain how he receives 1.75 times the base salary rate of the highest paid patrol officer in future years. The chief also there's a few other financial benefits the chief has in his contract as well.
I would like to say for the record, that is money very well spent. He is an extraordinary and accomplished chief of police, and we're very lucky to have him, and I'm thrilled that we got him locked in for another 5 years. It's great for the town, in my opinion.
He should finish out his career.
I sure hope so.
Hope so. That's right.
Any other questions for the?
No?
I have one question for you. Maybe you can ask Dennis. The gas mains that they're putting on Hopkinton Road, are they done with that for the winter? Or are they gonna?
I could confirm that, but I don't think they are done with that. I know
I
that
didn't know if
they,
it's worth talking to the gas company, whether to leave them pipes along the side of the road, because they're actually on some private property.
right,
If we should have them removed for the winter, I don't know if it's gonna interfere with his plowing or any of that, too.
right. Yeah, I can follow up on that. I know that they were slated to be complete in December when they started that project. It was supposed to take us through the middle of December, but then they had a couple setbacks.
Yeah.
Snow was one, they had the propane spill was another, so they had a few setbacks on that road. But I can find out if they have a new goal for completion.
No, I know it's on some people's property, I don't know if it's worth being there all winter or something.
I think from what I understand, they also hit some ledge.
Yeah.
So that was the reason why the construction stopped. But I think the plan is to get the pipe out of there before the hard winter sets in.
Okay.
Nothing else? Anything, any public comment?
I just have one thing. At the last meeting, when Haggerty was here to talk about the work that she's done advocating for accessibility and ADA work at Kiwanis and other locations, because she was getting on to a committee that would be involved with those types of things. And I used some language that had a negative connotation to it in terms of describing the relationship between what she had done with the town. And I think I used words like there were complaints or complaints against the town or what have you. But those were unintentionally negative comments, so I wanted to apologize to Ms. Haggerty. That certainly wasn't my intention. She's done a lot of great work and has been a great advocate for accessibility in the community, and I commend her for all that work, and we look forward to continuing to work with her and others in the community, both in Upton and outside of Upton, to work toward making Upton a more accessible community for everybody. So, thank you.
Anybody have any new business?
I don't have anything.
Any future topics?
Nope.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn?
Second?
And a second. Still didn't do it as fast as well.
Almost.
Yeah.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Steve.
I heard that it was-